Welcome to another video, guys. Today we will discuss what the future meta in Hearthstone might look like after the announced unnerfed cards. We will have one full week of a very weird meta, with plenty of cards that got nerfed throughout the years that will get unnerfed back, and this will definitely shake up the meta a lot. For this time being, we will be able to enjoy cards like Bran, Conjurer's Calling, Rogue's Galakrond, and cards like Edwin in their unnerfed state for one last week in Standard, so we better make it count. Hope you enjoyed the video, and if you do, a like and subscribe is always appreciated. We are also super close to reaching Twitch partner status, so if you can drop by the stream and even just lurk, it would really be awesome, so we can get those views and snag the partnership. But now, let's get into the video. For convenience, I will use the articles Out of Cards has made for these unnerfed cards. If you haven't checked out Out of Cards yet, do make sure to do so, because they have all sorts of valuable information and also pretty cool and interesting articles too. The first class we're gonna discuss here would be Druid, where the situation is not that impressive. Yeah, cards like Keeper of the Grove and Ancient of Lore were pretty crazy back in the day, but in today's standards, they're downright underwhelming. Both of these Choose 1 cards are not even good enough in Quest Druid with both choose effects, honestly. But for Keeper of the Grove, at least it's a tech card which you can use for silence, so it will probably see at least some play for that 1 week of unnerfed changes. For Ancient of Lore, we're probably not really gonna see it ran in any deck, but it's not gonna be such a bad discovered card, so at least it has that going for it. With Hunter, the situation becomes a lot more interesting though, starting with Starving Buzzard, which will return down to 2 mana and 2/1 stats, which is gonna be pretty good. Right now, I do believe that there's enough support for a good Beast deck to emerge out of this change, or maybe even some sort of a Highlander Beast deck would emerge instead of the Highlander Dragon decks we were used to seeing before. Also, Flare is dropping down to 1 mana again, which is probably not gonna be huge for Standard, but it's probably gonna mean a lot in Wild, because we know that their Secret Mage trumps all. Dino Tamer Bran is dropping down to 7 mana, which wouldn't really change the fact that people will be running it in Highlander Hunter, but it will probably increase the number of Highlander Hunters back on ladder too. And the last Hunter card change here would be Hunter's Mark, which comes down to 1 mana back again. Back in the day, Hunter's Mark was a staple card in any Hunter deck, and it's probably gonna return in most of those, even though it would require including some wonky cards as well, for it to be super effective again. Mages will also be in for a treat, because they will be receiving 4 unnerfed cards back. Even though for Mana Worm it's not really an unnerf, but it's more like a balance change, because the health is getting back to 2 mana. Yeah, it's still gonna be a super powerful 1-drop, but at 2 health almost everything is able to clear it. It still might make an appearance in some sort of a small spell mage, or who knows, even Mazaki Mage might find room for it, in some way, shape or form. But I don't believe it's gonna be strong enough to form a deck around itself. Conjurer's Calling is getting back down to 3 mana, which we all know was hella strong, so you can definitely be sure that Highlander Mage will be loving this card back. And speaking of Highlander Mage, also Dragoncaster is going back down to 6 mana, so cards like Deep Freeze, Power of Creation and Puzzle Box will definitely see spike in popularity back in Highlander Mage. And the last Mage card here, again, is Worm related with the Wormweaver, and the situation here again is balance change. Since the 2 mana worms will be 1/2s now, they are dropping the cost of this card down to 4, and shaving 1 health off of it too. But it's still gonna be a very strong card for 4 mana with no real restrictions. So I do believe it would not be a bad tempo inclusion for Highlander Mage again, and still, maybe Small Spell Mage might find some room for something like this. The second article starts with Paladin, where we will be receiving Call to Arms back to 4 mana, but that will only be for Wild, so it's not really gonna affect these 7 days for Standard. Power Word Shield is going to be reverted back to its old form, and that is definitely good news for Priest. Let's not forget card draw is super essential for Priests, and also Wandmaker would love having this 1-drop spell back into its pool as well. And with Rogue, we have 5 unnerfed cards, even though not all of them are for Standard. Let's start off with the one I almost missed, which is Galakrond, and it doesn't have its picture here, but it will be reverted back to its old form, discounting cards down to 0, which obviously is huge. This should definitely bring back Galakrond Rogue back on the map, even though the meta might still be too aggressive for it with all those weapon rogues, spell damage mages, and Mazaki mages too. Edwin Van Cleef also gets back to its old form, down to 3 mana, which is again a very nice change for rogues, and Whirlkick Rogue would also be loving it back. We all witnessed that that change didn't really stop rogues from dropping huge Edwins as soon as turn 2, but the probability of that happening definitely dropped. announced. Blade Flurry will be getting a huge revert, and its mana cost is gonna drop down to only 2 mana, which I do believe is enough for maybe Weapon Rogue to be including it in its deck. Even though, honestly, it really feels like they really don't care for the board and they just wanna go face. Caverns Below is getting a change for, I don't know, what, the 4th time now? But yeah, that would be wild people's problems now, wouldn't it? And the last unnerfed card for Rogue would be Necrium Apothecary, which we all remember how powerful it was back in the day with the Necrium Blade, but thank god that is not in standard anymore, so I'm not really sure how useful this Nerf Revert would be for standard decks in Rogue. But we still have plenty of really cool Death Rattle minions out there, but with no real way of triggering it on the same turn, I'm not really sure it's gonna take much effect. Huge news for Shamans as well. Starting off with Spirit Claw, which will unlock some spell damage Shaman's potential a lot. There's definitely enough support for a Burn Shaman right now, so you should prepare to see a spike in those. But the real spike for Shamans would definitely be Galakrond Shamans, because that deck was just broken, and it's basically coming back with a vengeance. All of the major offenders are getting back to their old form, with Corrupted Elementalist dropping back to 5 mana, Invocation of Frost going back to 1, and also the Dragon Pack is getting the big buff back. This deck definitely was destroying the meta back in the day when it first came out, and there are a ton of support cards that it received during the days, but honestly, maybe even the exact same old deck will still be smashing once the Reverts takes change. And this will definitely ruin Weapon Rogue's day, because having a 1 mana freeze for the opponent's face and a 2/1 token to trade off all of those big free 1 minions is just gonna be huge for that matchup. And for Shaman, lastly we have the Flame Tongue Totem, which is going back to 2 mana and dropping down to 2 health too. This might be a very nice support for Totem Shaman, and let's not forget that the Shaman class as a whole becomes a lot stronger when Totem Shaman is a part of its arsenal. Because that means that the opponent is always going to be trying to trade off those totems, even if that is not your game plan. So Shamans should definitely see pretty good results for this last 1 week. With Warlock, we're not really getting anything too special, where Fiendish Rites just gets back to 3 mana again. It's not an amazing change, but it definitely brings back some aggressive potential for Galakrond Warlock in the beginning, so it might take a little less control-y and a bit more aggressive approach, but I'm really not sure about that one. Warrior will definitely enjoy these last 7 days as well, where Galakrond Warrior will be receiving its good old Scion back, down to 3 mana. We all saw Galakrond Warrior didn't have any issues of invoking twice by turn 3, and copying a few of these with cards like Dragon Tamer will be all that much powerful now. This should mean that Galakrond Warrior will see a lot of play again, but also a Galakrond Bomb version might emerge again. And there are already so many Warrior decks out there, which means it's gonna be hella hard to actually predict what you're playing against. Bloodsworn Mercenary is another huge card that is getting back to 3/3. The change itself is not huge, but it's still better than a 2/2, right? Mercenary has been a staple for so many warrior decks out there, so even though the change is not that impactful on its own, it would still boost the win rate of the decks. And the last card here is quite interesting, because it's getting a rebalance basically. Charge will finally be giving real charge again, and you will be able to go face with it, but at the cost of +2 mana. I know for a fact that Zeddy is super happy for this change, and he swore he will make Crab Rider work with this thing, so I guess time will tell how well that goes. And the last changes here are for neutral cards, and it's mainly for wild, but still, let's quickly go over them. One of the scariest cards in Hearthstone history is getting back to its old form, and now it's gonna be getting +1/+1 instead of just +1 attack. So maybe Death Rattle Hunter will see a rise in popularity again, especially with all of the cool new support it was receiving. Arcane Golem now will be a 3 mana 4/2 with charge, instead of just a 4/4, which is also gonna be pretty huge maybe. Even though the sacrifice for playing it on curve would definitely be huge. Leper Gnome will be giving support for Face Hunter again, and let's not forget Toxic Reinforcement is a card, where I do believe that the Leper Gnomes should be receiving 2 attack there as well, but I'm really not sure because it is written on the card itself that the Leper Gnomes will be 1/1s, so I guess we'll see how that pans out. Knife Juggler is getting his attack back up to 3, which I'm not sure is that huge, and it would have been a lot better for him if it was 3 health instead, but it's still something. Bone Mare was quite the meta breaker back in the day, costing only 7 mana, and that is gonna be the reality WoW players will have to live with right now. Which is not that bad for WoW now, is it? Archivist Illusiana is going to be dropping down to 8 mana again, which will be unlocking some annoying Control Warrior lines of play, but I'm not sure Standard will see much of her. Bad Luck Albatross is going back to 3 mana, and it will probably see a rise in popularity too, because I do believe that Highlander decks should be seeing a rise now again. Shudderwalk Chain Gang is also getting its old copy itself form back, so yeah, enjoy that one, wild players. One of the bigger changes here has to be Dragon Queen Alex, with her dragons costing 0 mana again. This might even bring her back in Highlander Hunter again. And it might not be a Dragon Highlander Hunter too, because she's just gonna be this strong. And we also have Frenzied Fellwing, which will be getting back its free health. So that should definitely make it a lot more healthier for decks like Hunter and maybe even Warlock. And I do believe we did see it in Warrior back in the day, didn't we? But yeah, let me know which card you're most excited about in the comments below, and what deck you can't wait to play again. That's gonna be it for this video, guys. Hope this helps you better understand what the future meta in Hearthstone will be. And don't forget to drop a like and a subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. I'm Kris05, and I'll see you in my next video or stream.